insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Hey, another way to save money, don't buy those expensive coffees every morning, you know? Then you can save up for, I don't know, a really nice dress shirt. Just saying, it's great that you feel comfortable here at work, but, you know, an adult could walk in.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
There's nothing like meeting face-to-face, and there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere. Your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at Zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank, where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes, and you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only, offered by Capital One and a member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
You'll do it right to make your home look its best, indoors and out. Lowe's does it right too, because we're the only national home center that carries pretty paintbrushes and rollers, the #1 brand preferred by pros. So if it's good enough for pro jobs, you can be sure it can take on yours. For your outdoors, update your patio furniture and save big with up to 25% off patio clearance items. Whatever your next project, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 6/26. Selection varies by location while supplies last. U.S. only.
This hour of Instant Feedback brought to you by Mike Tahura of National Benefit Plans. For affordable life insurance, call 877-734-2200.
The only way you can take 97.1 The Ticket with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Jamie and Stoney on 97.1 The Ticket. Steve Yzerman is a Red Wing legend. He's now the Red Wing general manager. And he joins us speaking as the Red Wing general manager for the first time since he was hired. It's great to talk to him here this morning on 97.1 The Ticket. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm great, gentlemen. Thank you. How about yourself?
We're good. We're fantastic. Thanks for the time this morning. First question, did it bother you when they gave Sider the number 19 jersey when you drafted him on Friday night?
I said they forgot about me in a hurry, didn't they?
Yeah.
We got big expectations picking him at 6, so we figured we didn't want to put too much pressure on him and give him number 5, so we'll give him 19.
Oh, right. The lesser number, yes. Is this the first time you ever drafted a guy who came to the draft wearing a bow tie?
Yes, I believe so. I think the story behind it was St. Louis drafted another German last year. Bach was his last name, and I believe he wore a bow tie, so Moritz didn't want to be outdone by his compatriot.
Obviously, based on the pre-draft mocks, it was higher than some people expected. He looked surprised when you drafted him. I mean, the look on his face was, whoa. Did he kind of have a sense of what you were going to do there, or was it a surprise to him as well?
Well, we had the 6th pick, obviously, and then 35, and I kind of joking with him, I said, I think you're going to go somewhere between 6 and 35. I don't know what's going to happen. We looked at where we had him on our list. I don't pay attention to the mock drafts at all. We can't. We got to do our jobs and hopefully do them well and kind of tune out the noise, so to speak. But we had him rated 6th on our draft list, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I know there was a lot of interest in him from a lot of teams. I actually looked at the options of trading back, trying to get an extra pick or something, and keep my fingers crossed that he would be there, or we had a plan B in the event that he wasn't. Trading back didn't prove to be an option, so we just we were comfortable selecting him at that spot. I know he was surprised, but we felt he was going to go somewhere, anywhere, from, if not us, potentially Buffalo, who was picking right after us, and by probably the 12th or the 13th pick, he would be gone.
Did you think about or even try to trade up a couple when Byron, the other defenseman, was selected?
You do your homework, or you touch bases with the teams around you, picking before you after, to get a gauge of what they want to do. And I did talk with LA and Colorado, but they were both pretty comfortable in what they were doing. They didn't indicate a real desire, unless things went unexpectedly. They had guys they were going to be comfortable using their pick with, so that didn't really look like an option unless, and I'm not even sure it would have got it done unless I made it the price so irresistible for them, and that didn't make sense for us, and I was more than happy to, at 6, to pick Moritz Seider. We were very comfortable with that, and so the urge to trade up wasn't as great as it was to potentially move back a spot or two and get the same player, but I couldn't do that.
We're talking to Steve Yzerman here on 97.1 The Ticket after the draft on Friday and Saturday. You obviously were with the Lightning until just a couple months ago. Was this draft a product of the work you had done in Tampa Bay combined with the scouting department here in Detroit? Or was this a vision that you had already had and they followed the lead? Or was it, I guess, obviously a year from now you'll have a full year under your belt with this organization. I know you know the organization well, but how did the two philosophies meld for this particular draft?
Well, I guess I gave the scouting staff kind of my feel, or the characteristics I want in players for the Red Wing, or in prospects for the Red Wing organization, and really it's kind of the same message that I would have given the staff in Tampa, just on the characteristics I'm looking for in these young players. So let's create the list according to these characteristics. It really wasn't involved this year. Wasn't involved with the amateur scouting staff in Tampa. So particularly as the year went on, really had no idea what they were thinking or what they were doing. But again, I gave the same sort of marching orders, I guess, to the staff. These are the things we want in players, and let's create our list accordingly.
And reading about those characteristics, they were getting guys who are obviously skilled, but are very tough to play against and compete hard, right?
Yeah, I'm not trying to build the 86 Red Wings, or we're not. The game isn't about fighting and whatnot, but it's really, I believe, competitive. You want competitive players, and I want competitive players and guys that have good hockey sense, and you need to be able to skate or project them to be able to improve their skating enough to play in the NHL, and then if they can add big guys on top of that, even better. So those are really the characteristics, and then ultimately you want good kids. That's a little bit difficult to project. You know them a little bit, you do your homework on them, but kids can go in a lot of different directions from the age of 18 to 23, 24, 25.
We're talking to Steve Yzerman here on 97.1 The Ticket. You finished with a very balanced class, 5 defensemen, 5 forwards, and 1 goaltending prospect. Is that purely coincidence, or was that in any way, shape, or form a goal of yours?
Mostly coincidence. We took 2 right defensemen with the first and second pick. So after that, we're like, we better start to look, assuming we had options at the next pick. We felt, whether we took Master Simoni or Albert Johansson, we had them in the same kind of grouping of players, and we ultimately went with the forward first because. Sorry guys, my phone is ringing in the background. We went with the forward just because we had taken 2D, and then we went back with the left shot defenseman. So it kind of worked out, and then ultimately 5 and 5, and then at that point we looked at it and said, at the end, we're in the 7th round. We had a couple of defensemen that we had an interest in, and then there was the goalie. So we ultimately decided to take a goalie. We didn't have a goalie in the draft, and we didn't take one just to take one. We had one that we liked in the 7th round. I kind of, as the draft goes on, at least the way I've done it is, you tell me who you really want, the scouts who you want in whichever round, and they all kind of put some names down that this is a player I'd have interest in drafting in round whatever it be, 5, 6, 7, and the goalie was one of the guys that one of the prospects from the Western Scouts had an interest in the 7th. We hadn't selected a goalie, so that was the only one we really decided to go by position.
Has Don Cherry called you, give you crap for not taking anybody from the Canadian Hockey League?
You know what? I didn't realize that until I went to address the media after the draft. And it's just the way it worked out. You mentioned Byram and Doc. We had interest in drafting those guys, but they were selected ahead of us. And then late early in the second round, we had some Canadian kids, but tucked right behind the Finnish defensemen. So ultimately, I don't pay attention to where they're from. We're going to go with the best prospect, the best guy we think fits that pick. And as it turned out, it's ironic they weren't out of the Canadian Hockey League. But I would say this, like the United States, like all over the United States, is producing a lot of good hockey players. The USHL is generating a lot of good hockey players, and as you see what Finland is doing, and even Sweden at all levels, there's players coming from different parts of the world. It's time for Canadian hockey to step it up a little bit. We've got to do a better job at producing players, but this was strictly coincidence.
Do you have any sense, Steve, yet of where Seider's going to play this fall?
I really don't. We're going to take it a step at a time. He's here for our development camp, and we'll get through that and kind of make sure he's set up for a good summer of training and training properly and skating, and then bring him back in for our rookie camp, rookie tournament, and into the main camp, and then we'll really decide from there. We have good options. We have all the options actually. Whether it's the American Hockey League, potentially his rights are owned by Owen Sound and the OHL, and going back to Mannheim is certainly a good option. I was pretty impressed with the program they run over there. It's a men's league. It's an NHL type operation. Fantastic arena, really good program, and a really good team. So we'll figure it out as we go along.
Final thing for me, in the NFL draft, we see the college players, and a lot of players make contributions their first year. For your sport, it's completely different. Maybe Hughes and Kako, maybe one others will play in the NHL. How patient are you? Obviously, you're probably pretty patient, realizing the process. But fans see this draft, and these guys aren't going to be on the team for 3-4 years, right?
3, 4, 5 years even. Yeah, that's the reality. That had a chance to think about it a lot. Comparing the NBA draft, the NFL draft, even Major League Baseball. Baseball would be similar to ours in that they're picking kids right out of high school, and you don't see them for maybe even more than 5 years. So it's really difficult. We're drafting them from all different, some of them are playing in men's leagues in Europe, junior leagues over in Europe. They're all at different levels, and even in North America, they're at different levels. So we need to, it's hard to compare them all, and it makes it difficult when you're trying to put them in the correct order. But ultimately, we're drafting them as kids, and it's more than an educated guess, but it's an educated guess.
All right, Steve. Hey, thanks for the time this morning. Great talking to you, catching up, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, guys, my pleasure. Thank you.
There he is, Steve Yzerman, the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings here on 97.1 The Ticket. What's better than Tiger tickets? Free Tiger tickets. That's why Chevrolet and 97.1 The Ticket have teamed up to give some of our lucky listeners free tickets to an upcoming Detroit Tigers home game. Tune into our show, Jamie and Stoney, for your chance to win, brought to you by Chevrolet, proud sponsor of the Detroit Tigers.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
This report brought to you by Flame Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical.